Before we begin today's video, I just want to say something real quick. Hey, younger me from 2014, you are a complete and utter moron because you thought that a talking raccoon was the dumbest thing ever, and because of that, you went to see this turd instead. And now, this talking raccoon is your second favorite Marvel character behind Spider-Man. Dear God, I was an idiot. Oh, and also spoilers for Guardians Volume 3. Okay guys, I know I'm late to doing this review, but I have been extremely busy since it's my last year of school and all, but now I can finally talk about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And if you're wondering where's the John Wick review, that's been delayed indefinitely, but it will happen. Hopefully before Christmas, but anywho, let's talk about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 has been my most anticipated movie of 2023. Mostly because I love the first two movies, and I thought the holiday special was pretty good. But there's also the MCU problem nowadays, because Phase 4 definitely had a lot of issues. In fact, if I were to name the stuff that I either loved or thought was pretty good, those would be Spider-Man No Way Home, the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas Special, Hawkeye, Shang-Chi, and Werewolf by Night. And there are stuff that's either fine or just okay, like for example, Black Panther Wakanda Forever and Moon Knight. On the other hand, there are some pretty bad stuff, like Black Widow, She-Hulk, and Thor Love and Thunder, aka the worst MCU movie in my opinion. So Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 had to live up to the hype, and did it succeed? Absolutely. This is easily one of the best MCU movies of all time, and easily a perfect note to end the Guardians of the Galaxy. The plot is that one night, Rocket is attacked by Adam Warlock, who was sent by the High Evolutionary, Rocket's creator, in order to steal Rocket, bring him back to the High Evolutionary, dissect his brain for Rocket's intelligence. But however, the Guardians are able to fend off Warlock, but unfortunately, Rocket is hit pretty bad and it activates his instant kill switch, which will make Rocket die in 48 hours if they don't find his code that can save his life. So it's up to the Guardians to go to the High Evolutionary, steal Rocket's code, and save his life. While that is going on, we get flashbacks to Rocket's origins, where we find out the horrible stuff that he had to go through that was teased in Guardians 1 and 2, and we also meet his friends. While this is also going on, we have a subplot about Star-Lord and 2014 Gamora from Avengers Endgame, where Star-Lord is trying to have that love that he had with the previous Gamora with this new Gamora. So that's the story of Volume 3, and honestly, I think it's really good, especially for a final chapter of their franchise. I think they went out on a high note in terms of the story. I will talk about what I liked more as we go on, but I first want to get out my negatives with this film. My first issue with the film is the kill switch, mostly because in this film, all it takes is one good hit from Adam Warlock for it to activate, but not in the first movie when Rocket was hit by an Infinity Stone blast from Ronan the Accuser. I don't know, maybe it's the straw that broke the camel's back or something, so maybe that's the reason why, but still, it just felt a little bit weird to me. Oh yeah, this isn't an issue with this movie itself, but it's more so something I am a bit upset about, that we won't get a proper crossover movie between the Guardians and Thor. But hey, that's not the fault of this movie, it's the fault of Thor Love and Thunder being a god-awful film. My biggest issue is the Star-Lord fake-out death, mostly because of how much they dwell on it. I was honestly about to cry because I genuinely felt this was the end of Star-Lord. But then Adam Warlock came in and he's fine, even though his head was swelling up like a balloon to the point where if you touch it, it could pop. And he was about to freeze to death, kind of like Yondu. I feel like if they wanted to keep this a fake-out death, they could have just had it be where at the start when Star-Lord is out in space and then Adam Warlock goes in and saves his life, so that way it doesn't feel like a cop-out. But that's all of my major issues. Now in terms of pros, for starters, this movie looks fantastic. The mixture of CGI and practical effects looked fantastic. Nothing felt distracting, and everything looked perfect. The action scenes are also a nice highlight, as there are a lot of great fight scenes in this movie, such as the one-take hallway fight, which is incredible, and also some really brutal fight scenes like Adam Warlock ripping off a character's head like it's Mortal Kombat, And also, the first fight with Adam Warlock was pretty cool, and a little bit brutal at the same time. I also liked how Groot had a bunch of guns packed into his body for that fight scene with him and Star-Lord versus the High Evolutionary. The escape from the place where Rocket had his code was really fun to watch, and I also think the humor of this movie, much like the previous Guardians films, is also really funny. Now we get to talk about my favorite aspect of this movie, the characters. Each member of the Guardians gets their own moment to shine, even if it's not an action scene like Drax and Mantis. Now for Mantis, I was never a big fan of her until the holiday special where it's revealed that she is the half-sister of Star-Lord, so for a Christmas present, she human traffics Kevin Bacon. But here we get to see more sides of Mantis like in the holiday special, and I really liked her ending. Now for Drax. Now, while I do understand the complaints with his character, where in the comics he was super serious, but here he's more of a goofball, the way it's implemented into the story and its ending is perfect for this version of the character, especially if you know his origins. Then you have Nebula, a character that has really grown over the course of the films, and one thing I really like about her in this movie is how she's appreciative of Rocket's cybernetic enhancements to her body. And I loved how when it's revealed that Rocket's alive, she cries, especially because if you remember in Infinity War and Endgame, her and Rocket were the only members of the team to survive the snap. It's a really nice callback to that moment. And then there's Kraglin and Cosmo, who admittedly get pushed to the sidelines, but I can understand that because they're not as important as the other Guardians, and they mostly have this one joke of Kraglin calling Cosmo a bad dog, but still, I thought it was a funny joke, and I especially love the scene where Kraglin finally mastered the arrow. Cosmo was just adorable, and then we have Groot. He's awesome, like always. Adam Warlock is a character that many people are mixed on, and I do understand why, even though I myself have not read the comics. But I definitely thought he was a fun inclusion with his action scenes and his humor, even if one scene was just a different version of this scene from Spider-Man Homecoming. And then we have the other characters. Starting off with the High Evolutionary, he is easily one of the best villains in the MCU, especially nowadays. I love how in this movie, he does not care about anything. He is just a cold-hearted monster through and through, especially with how when Star-Lord brings up that his utopia is not perfect, he decides to just destroy the entire planet, killing millions of people, and he doesn't care. Like, I know people want a sympathetic villain, but I just love it when a villain's evil and just knows it, and he's just having so much fun. And the actor does a fantastic job of making you hate this character. And one thing I like about the High Evolutionary is how his character ties into Star-Lord's arc throughout the film. Because while the High Evolutionary wants to make a perfect utopia, he doesn't really. He just doesn't like things the way they are, and that's a reflection of Star-Lord's arc. He wants to have that relationship he had with Gamora, with the new Gamora, but he has to accept that not everything is perfect and he can't always get what he wants. So it's a nice reflection of his character and Star-Lord's arc throughout the film. And I also thought Gamora in this movie was a lot of fun. She was really cool, and I did like her ending with Star-Lord. In fact, I also thought Peter Quill was awesome in this movie like the previous films. Even though, yes, he can be funny at points, you see the pain that he's gone through throughout all the previous films and his desperation to save Rocket's life. Speaking of Rocket, he is easily the best character in this entire movie. He has now became my second favorite Marvel character behind the likes of Spider-Man. You feel the pain that he has gone through in his past, and his flashbacks with his friends are both adorable yet heartbreaking. Though, I'm going to be honest, when I first saw Floor, I was reminded of the spider baby head from Toy Story. Am I the only one who thought that? But, anywho. And when Rocket died, I genuinely felt like he died until he went to the Deathly Hallows place and met Lila. Yeah, I know people have made that joke before, but I don't care. That's the only thing I thought about when I saw this movie twice. But it's still a really good scene, and I also want to give a special shout out to Bradley Cooper. His performance in this movie was excellent, alongside Sean Gunn and the other voice actors for Rocket and his friends. So, that's the film. And one thing I also want to talk about is the ending. The ending for this movie is just perfect. I'm not gonna lie, this is one of the perfect notes to end the trilogy on, And honestly, if the Guardians did not show up in any other MCU movie, I would be completely fine. James Gunn, you crafted an amazing trilogy of films and a holiday special with these characters who I knew nothing about, and you made them some of my favorite characters ever. I will miss you, James Gunn, but that only makes me more excited for your future endeavors at DC. You wanna know the funny thing? While I think Guardians Volume 2 has the best ending to any MCU movie, this easily has the best opening to any MCU movie. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and be sure to like and subscribe, and see you all next time. Bye.